For today's headlines, Rody confirms Red's ingress into parties. Mask mandate says, according to Palace. Don't touch 4.9 billion peso COVID standby fund. Department of Energy to government agencies, save power. Poll body task force probing vote buying. Bacolod drivers and operators call off strike. POC doing a Putin in Patafa, says Cristy. 6.7 magnitude quake rattles Taiwan. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and this is Tribune News on Q. Today is March 23, 2022, and these are the latest news of this Wednesday morning. President Rodrigo Duterte claimed that some political parties headed by presidential candidates in this year's elections have been infiltrated and are playing into the hands of communist groups. Duterte made the worrying claim without presenting proof, adding that he did not want to identify the candidates he was referring to. Earlier this month, the chief executive said he had received an intelligence report about an unspecified group allegedly eyeing to sow discord in the May 9 elections. Senator Panfilo Lacson last week claimed that the camp of his fellow presidential candidate, Vice President Leni Robredo, had been infiltrated by communist groups, something which the latter denied. On Tuesday, Leni belied a social media post that claimed her recent campaign rally in Pasig City was attended by communist rebels, each of whom allegedly received 1,000 pesos as reward. Leni stood by her supporters and she urged them to flag malicious and false social media posts so they could be taken down by authorities. President Rodrigo Duterte has dismissed the possibility of removing the mask mandate despite the decreasing number of coronavirus infections in the Philippines being tempered by the persisting threat of new virus variants. Duterte cited the case of Israel, which has detected a new COVID-19 variant that is a combination of the two subvariants of Omicron BA.1 and BA.2. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III backed the president's stance, noting that mask wearing remains among the minimum public health standards needed to curb coronavirus transmission. The discussion on the possible lifting of mandatory wearing of masks emerged amid calls to downgrade Philippine cities and regions to Alert Level 0 or the new normal following the continuous decrease in COVID-19 cases. The majority of the provinces in the country had been placed under Alert Level 1 until the end of the month, where quarantine restrictions on travel and business operations were lifted except for the maintenance of basic health protocols, namely the mandatory wearing of masks and observance of physical distancing. The country has been classified as minimal risk for COVID-19, while the healthcare utilization rate was under low risk, according to the Health Department. President Rodrigo Duterte is hoping that Congress will keep its hands off the 4.99 billion pesos unused funds allocated for loan distribution to micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSME under the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act or Bayanihan 2. Duterte said that the unutilized funds which the Makabayan bloc in the House wants to be probed may come in handy in case another COVID-19 variant hits the Philippines. He said late Monday that he hopes Congress doesn't move the funds because that is in preparation for another surge of another variant. The president said that the virus is mutating and we don't know until when it will linger, citing the new coronavirus variant detected in Israel. Duterte noted that the next Philippine president would be forced to borrow funds should there be another surge in infections, adding that such a possibility would be inevitable. The chief executive assured the public that the unutilized funds were returned to the Bureau of Treasury. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Vaccination, isolation, gotta keep up with my nutrition, gotta maintain my body condition, then I can take my vaccination. What do I choose? What do I take? As long as it is not a fake. AstraZeneca, Moderna, BioNTech, even Sinovac, okay na. Babakuna ka ba? 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 Vaccination for the nation, no more isolation. With vaccination. Babakuna ka ba? 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 Paturok, paturok, paturok.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
We are back on Tribune News on Q. As prices of petroleum products have yet to stabilize, the Department of Energy told government agencies Tuesday to conserve energy by strictly observing Government Energy Management Program or GEMP guidelines. In an advisory, Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, who also sits as chair of the Interagency Energy Efficiency and Conservation Committee, mandated government offices to save energy amid the still fluctuating prices of petroleum products. The strict implementation of the GEMP, which aims to achieve at least 10% savings in electricity and fuel consumption, will help mitigate the adverse impacts of the war in Ukraine and also help secure the availability of electricity during the hot, dry season, especially during the national and local elections. Further, Cusi said they wanted government agencies to exercise energy conservation practices, such as turning off the lights and computers during lunch breaks, except in offices where no noon break policy is implemented. Except in the offices where our office hours are whatever in use, adjusting the air conditioning unit thermostat to not lower than 24 degrees Celsius, recommending the implementation of 8 hours straight office operation whenever practical and applicable, activating sleep settings on office equipment, and keeping doors of air-conditioned spaces closed to maintain ambient temperature. Heeding those conservation measures will reduce electricity demand in the Luzon grid by up to 24 megawatts, which is equivalent to the 840 million peso cost of establishing a diesel power plant based on the projections of the DOE Energy Utilization Management Bureau. To assure these measures are being strictly adhered to, the DOE's energy audit team will conduct random spot checks and issue corresponding energy ratings. And now, the Commission on Elections on Tuesday said reports of money being given away during the campaign period will be referred to local election officers for investigation. During a Laging Handa briefing, COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said the local poll body official will investigate the complaint and escalate it to the law department for the filing of cases. Commissioner George Garcia said during the end-to-end demonstration of the automated election system at a hotel in Manila that they will create a task force to investigate incidents of vote buying. The task force will be made up of the COMELEC, Philippine National Police, and Department of Justice, according to Garcia. The task force was formed in response to claims that politicians give away or distribute money during campaign rallies. COMELEC established a similar task force to combat vote buying in 2019. Meanwhile, the poll body on Monday released a resolution governing contributions by domestic corporations for partisan political activities in the upcoming May 2022 polls. In a 5-page COMELEC Resolution 10772 promulgated on March 16, domestic corporations are allowed under the law to give contribution or donation, whether in cash or in kind. They shall receive or demand to receive an official receipt from political party, party list, candidate or their duly authorized representative to whom the contribution is made. They are also required to file a report of contribution before the Comelec Campaign Finance Office in digital and hard copy within 30 days following the elections. They may also file the reports of contributions along with their campaign finance disclosure reports on behalf of their campaign donors or contributors. After conducting a transport strike on Monday, the groups of drivers and operators in Negros Occidental called off the second day of their scheduled transport strike on Tuesday to discuss their concerns with two legislators and personnel of the Land Transportation, Franchising, and Regulatory Board Western Visayas or LTFRB 6. Bacolod City Lone District Representative Greg Gasataya initiated the dialogue together with the House Minority Leader Stephen Paduano of Abang Lingkod party list. Gasataya said among those discussed is the government's fuel subsidy program for drivers. Eduardo Junjun Asis of Sentrong Samahan ng mga Super or Operators, Negros or Eston welcomed the opportunity for them to air their concerns before the national government. Others who attended the dialogue were Albert Villanueva, also of the Eston, Diego Malacad of the United Negros Drivers and Operators Center, and Elizabeth Catalbas of Federation of Bacolod City Drivers Association. Meanwhile, Mayor Evelio Leonardia welcomed the move of the drivers to call off the second day of the transport strike. He added that he is waiting for the guidelines for the monthly fuel subsidy for the drivers from the national government. The mayor pointed out that the increase in fuel prices is not only a local issue, but a worldwide concern and is affected by global market dynamics such as the current conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The transport strike, which organizers called a people's holiday, aimed to voice the concerns of the drivers and operators to the national government amid the series of the increases in the prices of basic goods and petroleum. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
Alamin ang latest entertainment at sa mga paborito nyong celebrities kasama si Pocholo Concepcion sa programang What's Up. Makibanding at kwentuhan kasama ang mga kilalang personalidad sa entertainment industry. Sama-sama natin silang kilalanin at silipin ang makulay nilang mundo every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Kaya sit back and relax lang kayo mga katribu. Hanapin at ilike ang Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube. Dahil sagot na namin ang masayang kwentuhan dito lang sa What's Up. Non-stop showbiz update ba ang hanap nyo? Sagot na yan ang aming Tribune Extra. Balitang entertainment at lifestyle, mapalocal man o international, meron kami niyan. Manood at makichika na kasama si Kim Sancha, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 5 ng hapon sa Tribune News on Q at separate premiere nito ng alas 7:30 ng gabi. Mapapanood sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube.
You are still watching Tribune News on Q. A former Philippine Olympic Committee or POC president yesterday said the POC suspension of the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Federation or Association or Patafa is similar to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Cristy Ramos, who served as chief of the local Olympic Council from 1996 to 1999, said the POC suspension of Patafa, in which it will be taking over its main function of sending athletes to the 31st Southeast Asian Games, is unjust, unfair, and totally unacceptable. Patafa, after all, is a federation that is in good standing with its international federations, the World Athletics and the Asian Athletics Association. In fact, no less than World Athletics President Sebastian Coe expressed his all-out support to Patafa when he stressed that its dispute with the star athlete EJ Obiena is an internal matter. Still, the POC asserted its dominance over Patafa, with its executive council voting to suspend for it the 19 days or the failing to endorse Obiena in the World Athletics Indoor Championship and the SEA Games. POC President Abraham Bambo Tolentino couldn't cite a specific ground for suspension, except that our Constitution states that the POC may suspend for any reason. Ramos, the daughter of former President Fidel Ramos and now the spokesperson of Patafa, branded it as something taken out of the playbook of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ramos said in an interview with the Tribune's morning show Gising Na that she hopes Mr. Tolentino and the POC will respect the jurisdiction of Patafa over the sport of athletics. What they're doing is a Putin over Ukraine, because they are simply taking over. Meanwhile, a magnitude 6.7 earthquake struck off the coast of Taiwan early Wednesday, rattling buildings and rousing people from their sleep, but with no immediate reports of injuries or major damage. Taiwan is regularly hit by earthquakes as the island lies near the junction of two tectonic plates. Taiwan does not issue tsunami warnings unless a quake registers at more than magnitude 7.0. The U.S. Geological Survey downgraded this trembler from the initial estimate of magnitude 6.9 down to 6.6, then back up to 6.7. It also revised the depth from an initial 10 to 24 kilometers. The quake hit off Taiwan's east coast but was felt over much of the island, and an AFP reporter felt her building shake a few minutes after 1:40 a.m. in Taipei's Zhaoshan district, and the government issued alerts sent people's cell phones blaring. Local news channel TVBS reported that people in the eastern city of Hualien, which saw a deadly quake in 2018, fled to the streets from a 12th-floor building. In Taiwan's southern Kaohsiung City, the island's third most populous, Mayor Chen Chi-mai posted on Facebook that the epicenter was in the sea off the coast of Hualien. And that wraps up the stories this morning, but before we go, we would like to thank the following: SM Store, Arata City, Department of Tourism, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, Empire Eastland Holdings Incorporated, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Venice Bautista on Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. Download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS and Google Play for Android to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune invites you to join its Viber community, Katribu, to get updates on the hottest news on politics, business, sports, lifestyle, and entertainment. Emoticons of the Tribune mascot Tarsito are available on our community Viber.